Good evening, sir. Good evening. How are you?
I am awesome. And how are you, Manny P?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. I have a request from some of our listeners from last week's show.
Uh-oh.
They've said, please, no more Snake Eyes. Just leave it. Don't
Are
want to
you
hear about
sure
it.
they said that? Are you sure it's not just you being an anonymous fan saying that, eh?
No, no, no. I can give you the details of this person after the stream. They have this. They have said, like, yeah, don't waste my time with that. Let's just keep it purely Marvel.
Okay, well,
Um,
if it's the Vaya
and
gang that says it, then I have no choice
and
but to
And if they
honor that
see,
request.
and if it happens again, if they see either of us on road, it's on.
Okay,
Um, so,
duly noted.
yeah, I've taken that advice on board, and yeah, I mean, by all means, do a solo video next time.
Okay, the fans have spoken. We have listened. Vaya gang, I hear you, and I listen.
Very good, sir. Very good, very good. What if episode 3? Now, I have titled this, "Was it a bit of filler?" But now, looking back on the episode and watching a few other YouTube videos about this episode, I actually think it was a lot better than what I initially thought yesterday watching it. I actually think it had a lot more going on. I initially didn't feel as though maybe there was a lot there that potentially impacts the MCU going forward as potential storylines, but maybe it does. What do you think?
Well, I think maybe I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here with this, but I think maybe because of how impactful last week's episode was in
Hmm.
terms of the content and also the whole emotional aspect to it, based on it, it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was Chadwick's last main project that he actually did
Yeah,
before
last
his
main
passing.
Marvel. I think his last main Marvel, like he's going to feature as the main character. I think he does feature in a few more episodes of What If moving forward, but I don't know to what extent T'Challa is a main
But yeah,
character in
in
those
terms of,
episodes.
I think this whole what if, just his connection with Marvel, I think that's his last project before he passed away. He
Yeah,
didn't do any projects outside the Marvel, you know, things before he actually passed away. So I think based on that, and then just seeing him, this was the first time we've seen anything with him since his passing that's new. I think it was a great episode for one, and also two, just that nostalgia of knowing that it's him, but he will no longer be here. I think it really set a very high bar for whatever what if episode was going to follow to actually try and compete with. But just saying that, you did say to me when we actually spoke, when you asked me, have you watched What If Yet? And I said, how was it? What was it about? And you said, oh, it wasn't, it wasn't that great.
no, no,
And I was
I
like,
said it was good, but it wasn't mind blowing. That's why I said
yeah,
I still
basically,
enjoyed it, but I didn't feel I
right,
wasn't sat back going, wow, that was something else. But now thinking about it
right.
now, certain bits are begin to set in, and I'm thinking it was a lot more
But
deeper than
remember
what I
what
actually thought.
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it today, earlier today. And
Hmm.
remember when I messaged you after, I said to you it was really good.
Yeah,
I said it was actually really good because I actually appreciated it when I looked at it, even though you told me what your views were on it, type of thing. I still went. I said, okay, I'll see what it's about. But then when I went in, I actually loved it from start to finish. And I think what they also got spot on was the length.
yeah, half an hour.
Anything, I think anything longer than 30 minutes with that, it would have probably just not been good. But I think the 30-minute time frame that they gave it for it was perfect. You got to see the reason behind certain things, and it wasn't dragged out. It wasn't too dragged out. It went straight to where, it had a start, it had a medium and an end, and it was perfect. So I actually really enjoyed it, and we get to look at the other perspective of what losses are for the heroes. I mean, we've seen in Captain America Civil War. No, it wasn't Civil War. Yes, it was Civil War, when it was actually showing you what the damage, what it's done to just the regular people, what that can lead to when they go out for revenge. So you can imagine what this was like now when you get to see what it's like when it's happened to one of the superheroes who also has superhero family members who didn't take too kind to their superhero, family being killed. And what it's like for them to actually go out and try and say, you know what, I'm going to seek my own justice. I'm going to go against you. So I thought it was great in that aspect because now we get to see both sides. We've seen it in Civil War from the human perspective of what pain does when someone wants to get revenge, when they feel hurt. No one's listening to them. And now we got to see what happens on this side.
Yeah. So let's just quickly recap what the episode is about. Essentially, we have a situation where this is the period in time where essentially Nick Fury is starting to put together his first team of Avengers, and they just all start dropping dead, and he doesn't quite understand how this is happening. So Natasha accidentally kills Tony Stark. Like, oh man, I picked up the wrong. I picked up the wrong vial, and I've just injected him the wrong serum. Oh, silly me! That would have been my excuse.
Yeah.
Like, shit happens. That would have been my excuse.
No, what you could have said is, was this FDA approved? Is this, were there human trials for this vaccine?
Yes. And then Hawkeye accidentally kills Thor. But that's what you think, that he's like misshot an arrow or something and ended up killing Thor. It's just like, man, Thor's died really easily from that arrow. I've always considered Thor to be having a bit more strength and being able to take one of Hawkeye's arrows a bit more, but I'm willing to let that bit slide for the purposes of this TV episode.
Well, it can. The reason why I don't think it was so far fetched is based, if it's going by how we have to think about it logically, like it's going by exactly how things were for instance, in the first Thor movie. When he came, he lost his powers. So even though he had a little more strength than the average human, he was still susceptible to being injured, remember, he got injected and tranquilized in the hospital, sedated, I should say, sorry.
Yeah.
In the hospital. So if he can be sedated with a little needle, then surely, I'm pretty sure that those arrows that Hawkeye is using is not just regular. It's going to be some shield technology type of metal, something that's a bit more deadly than just regular, the tips that they would use.
Well,
so
something that just like extends that into him after they've shot me. Yeah, I'm willing to.
Or maybe the type of metal, what the type of metal, what it's using, it's stronger than just a regular one. So based from the height of where he was as well.
Maybe made of
there you go.
Vibranium or adamantium. Possibly.
Yeah, because at this point they were already putting together, they were already probably fighting against, they already knew that superpowered being was out there. So therefore, he's not going to go out there with just the old regular arrows and think that ain't going to do nothing. So yeah, it probably is vibranium or adamantium. Probably most likely it's going to be adamantium, because vibranium, they wouldn't have had a lot of vibranium.
No, they wouldn't have had access to it unless they snuck in.
Yeah. So it would have been probably adamantium. So, and shooting from that distance where he was as well, the velocity that it would have, and the speed it would have picked up from that distance. He's no armor. He's just wearing a t-shirt. That's it. Straight through the heart. Dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Then obviously Hawkeye gets arrested for 4 Thor's. Try saying that quickly. 4 Thor's
For
death.
Thor's death. For Thor's
Yes.
death. Fourth Thor's
Um.
death.
Oh God, that was just tongue time. And he somehow ends up dying whilst in custody. They obviously, yeah, they weren't safeguarding Clint Barton properly whilst he was in custody.
I had
Has
such
to
a
be
bad
said.
joke I was gonna say just now in terms of him dying or whatever
Okay, yes,
in
let's not.
in custody, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not. I'm keeping that one in my head.
yeah, let's
But
leave that one alone for the time being. I know exactly where you're going to go.
see,
Let's
great
leave that.
minds.
Yeah, I did consider making a similar joke, but I thought, no, let's not go towards yeah. Um, and then obviously Hawkeye dies, and Black Widow goes to seek out the Incredible Hulk at that university where Betty Brant is. So of course, who's of course Thunderbolt's daughter, not daughter. Sorry, I'm falling back into my bad Cockney accent. Um,
Daughter, governor, yeah.
couldn't find a daughter.
Pronounce your letters, Manny.
Listen, I never wanted to be a face on this channel. Okay, so,
No, you
so
have to be. Everyone knows Manny P.
I never wanted to do too much talking on this channel. Um, yeah, and then my God, like Shield turn up and it all kicks off, and I mean we know who killed him. It was
Well, it
Hank
wasn't
Pym.
Shield. Wasn't that the government?
Sorry, it was Thunderbolt Ross who turns up. Sorry,
Yeah, with the army,
with the military
the
and
good old boys.
the good old boys indeed, and yeah. So yeah, Bob points out Dr. Banner worked for Stanley Pizza, so that's actually, if you remember the original Incredible Hulk movie with Ed Norton,
Yeah.
he actually is working in Stanley's Pizza in that movie.
Oh yeah.
So, and obviously Stanley is a homage to Stanley as well.
Even though he was alive back then, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was still like a tribute thing to him. But yeah, so they've like taken from that 2008 movie as well, and a few people on Twitter and the interweb have pointed out as well that the way they've drawn Betty Brant is the same way that she's wearing the same clothes that she wears in that 2008 movie as well.
Well,
So
yeah,
there's
it's
a
the
lot
same
of
with Thor as well. Like literally, like
yeah,
Thor was like wearing the same things that he wore in the first Thor movie when he was trying to find the hammer.
yeah. So yeah, so a lot of attention to detail. That Hulk movie, I've always wondered whether that's definitely like canon, but I guess we can confirm it is 100% canon now because it's referencing What If. We're going to see the Abomination in Shang-Chi. Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed for me now. But then we see, obviously, Hank Pym killing the Hulk. And my God, David, what a way to go out.
Well, we didn't know what killed him.
Well,
We just saw him just
we saw the outside
literally
of him.
just exploding. Yeah.
The theory is that he's gone inside of him. I'm not sure if it was through his butthole. If he's gone inside of the Hulk through his butthole.
No, I think he went in when he got shot, when that bullet shot him, I think that
But
was himself. He shot himself through the heart,
but bullets
as in
can't
he
go
went
through.
inside.
Bullets can't go through his skin.
But I'm pretty sure when he saw it hit him, it looked as if something did pierce his skin.
Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch it. Yeah, it was, but essentially, yeah. Pym he injected the Pym molecule into the Hulk's heart, which made his heart expand. Um, which led to all the blood being pumped through his body at a hyper intense rate, which led to him blowing up, and then just exploding. Did you ever think on the Disney Channel you would see the Incredible Hulk exploding before your very eyes?
Nope, it was just like crazy. I thought he was just getting more angry, like he was gonna get bigger. But then he seems to start like literally like getting all deformed, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna end very well.
The chest literally envelops his head. At one point, a few people on YouTube have like slowed down the footage, like done it like frame by frame,
Yeah,
and you don't see it like watching it in real time. But if you slow it down, like the crevices in his body, where like which has been caused by the blood pumping, like to certain muscles.
yeah,
That's actually where the explosions begin.
that's
Um,
crazy.
so yeah, so yeah, that's a mad way for Hulk to go out.
For
Must have
anyone,
been
yeah.
painful. Must have been painful as well.
Yeah, but I think because we look at Hulk as like he's just this big, Neanderthal that doesn't really say much or feel pain, you just think, oh, he's just getting angry. Because it looks as though he was getting extremely angry.
Just for the
Really
record, I'd like to
quick.
point that recent science actually has showed that actually Neanderthals were actually very intelligent beings, and they had they had the capabilities of showing huge amounts of empathy as well. Um, yeah, they were very similar to humans. Carry on.
Okay.
I
Well,
also
thank
say
you
this
for
as
that
well
very.
because I've recently taken a DNA test, and it turns out I have more Neanderthal DNA than
I knew it. So there was a
most
selfish
other
gain.
humans.
There was a selfish
Um,
take on that explanation just then.
well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm amazing, so I reckon that's down to the Neanderthal DNA more than anything.
So to go back to what we were saying then, so even though Hulk may look like a Neanderthal, he was feeling pain and he was very intelligent in his own way.
Yeah, much like a Neanderthal. Neanderthals were robust creatures who were very intelligent when it came down to it. Um, so my brother's very interested. Yes, when I've done my 23andMe test, it tells you how much Neanderthal DNA is within you. And I'm in the, um, basically, I have more Neanderthal DNA than 85% of the other people who have also taken the 23andMe test. So yeah, potentially we are quite Neanderthal, the Imarians.
Interesting. I
Hmm.
need to do one of them tests to see what my life is.
Yeah, yours would be interesting as well, obviously. But anyway, my apologies, we're diverting, but yeah, and then obviously um, um, Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, kind of manages to get into the Shield network and works out that actually this is all to do with Hope Van Dyne. But before she can
One sec.
but before she can essentially before she can essentially um, get away, she gets murdered. It seems by. Nice, you're back. She essentially gets
Yeah.
murdered, essentially by Hank Pym as well. But luckily manages to tell Nick Fury what's going on. And while this is going on, Loki's come down from Asgard, all pissed off that
Oh,
his
whoa,
brother's
whoa,
dead.
wait. When I actually was watching, when she was actually getting murdered,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was an actual invisible enemy. I didn't even think for a second it was, like a Ant-Man. I thought it was like some kind of, I was like, oh, it makes sense now. I'm like, it must be someone invisible that snuck into the cell,
They
killed
hid
the
it
little
really
guy,
well. I
and
wonder how many people actually clocked on it was Hank Pym before the big reveal at the end.
yeah, I mean, we would have never really have thought about that because let's face it, in terms of even apart from the brief cameo in Civil War, we didn't see Ant-Man again in Avengers until the last Avengers film. So it's not like he was a reoccurring character that was in and out of it, where you could say, okay, you could see why it could possibly be something to do with that. There was no indication or no clue whatsoever. So that's why I'm thinking some kind of invisible enemy. I'm thinking, who could that be? Like, who's got invisible ability that's doing that? Or stealth. That's what was that you're thinking. Someone either wearing a stealth armor, or it was someone literally invisible with invisible ability that's killing them out.
So it could have been someone like Ghost, who we as well saw in Ant-Man 2. Someone like that, it could have potentially been as well. But yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved Nick Fury going back to Loki. And he's confronted by the Destroyer armor, and then you see who you think is Nick Fury at Hope Van Dyne's grave, and she's confronted by Hank Pym, who's in the Yellow Jacket costume as well, not the Ant-Man
Yeah,
costume, which I loved as well, because in the comics, Hank Pym is the first Yellow Jacket as well. He basically goes through this period in the 60s and 70s where he spends a couple of issues as Ant-Man, then becomes Giant Man, becomes Goliath, then becomes the Yellow Jacket. He's just like going through all these different costumes. So I really like that they kind of picked up on, paid tribute to the fact that Hank Pym in the comics was the first Yellow Jacket. And I love the way they just made him look mad and maniacal with his eyebrows kind of all flaring out and thinned
well,
out and
yeah,
everything.
it's befitting based on the circumstances, because he lost his only child, and not only did he lose her, but he just felt he lost her unnecessarily, doing a fool's errand. And it's the same way that he lost his wife. And he's like, just like with his wife, there was no mention of it. Like, so there was no homage paid to his wife or his daughter. They literally just killed them and moved on to the next. So you can imagine someone like that, he's stressed, so he's not going to be worrying about grooming and, looking sharp. He's just more thinking like, I want vengeance. And he probably spent a long time plotting exactly how to take down each and every one of those recruits, whoever they were going to recruit.
Absolutely. So another good point here. In the comics, Hank Pym as Yellow Jacket was a dark and abusive character. So essentially, in the comics, Hank Pym basically becomes a domestic abuser. He basically starts domestically abusing Janet Van Dyne, and like
Well, is that
it's
after they find her, or
no, in
before?
the comics. In the comics,
Janet, that's the wife, right?
yeah. So in the comics, like Hank Pym and the Wasp, they're two of the founding. Yeah, they're two of the founding members of the Avengers.
Okay.
So they've always been there from the start. Like, and round about I think the mid 70s, and this story goes all the way into the 80s. Like, continually, like Hank Pym is like verbally abusive to her, physically assaults her on numerous occasions. And this leads to them eventually, like, getting separated and having a divorce. But what I liked was that you can almost maybe see that side of Hank Pym coming out in this iteration of him in this universe, with his kind of madness coming to the fore.
But do you think that's just solely based on his personality, or do you think it also has to do with all those transformation that he goes through? You know,
Oh, what, from like
because
Ant
let's
Man to
face,
Goliath? Do you know something?
yeah,
You might have a point, but then at the same time, I think Marvel were trying to tell a story that, just because there's one aspect of this guy's character which makes him a hero, he's still an absolute dick in his home life, and that needs. They were trying to like show like that their characters weren't kind of infallible.
Yeah, true. It's like not because you're a hero means that they're going to be goody goody. They can be abusive. They can be, but just thinking about it, just thinking, especially when you go in from, just being a normal regular size to go to all those kind of like quantum mini realms and all of that. You don't know what kind of psychological impact. Plus, going through different, metamorphosis, like he says, from yellow to regular Ant Man to Giant Man to Goliath, all sorts. Dude's got some issues. He needs to speak to someone.
I mean, that could have been the reason, but at the same time, like Wasp was like going from little to regular size, and it didn't really affect her. But just so you know, in the 80s, Janet Van Dyne eventually becomes the leader of the Avengers in the mid 80s, and that basically, it's kind of like her, stepping out of the shadow of Hank Pym and you know, telling herself that she's stronger than the abuse she suffered at the hands of Hank Pym, and just because of what Hank Pym done to her, she wasn't going to let that affect her confidence, and she actually turned out to be actually a really good leader of the Avengers during the 80s run.
Oh, that's
Which I
really
really
good.
recommend, actually. I think it's a bit underrated, the 1980s run of the Avengers, but there's some really good stories in those comic books. I really recommend people check them out. One of my favorites being one story, I think it was towards the late 80s, where oh God, a group, I forgot what they called themselves, but essentially a group of supervillains take over the Avengers Mansion, and they just like wreck the entire thing. And they beat up Jarvis, and they put Jarvis in hospital. They beat up Hercules and nearly kill him. They tear up the one picture Captain America had of his mother. Yeah, it's just
that's
like,
some, that's some just twisted, demented things. Like, okay, so the agenda is we're going to look at ways to not just physically destroy them, but mentally and emotionally traumatize them. So, what do we have? Okay, Captain
yeah,
America.
yeah,
Let's see.
yeah.
Why
That is
his
the story.
mama's
The
picture?
Wreckers invade the Avengers Mansion. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, and it was actually Baron Zemo, who I think who led that group, if I recall correctly. I forgot what that group was called. I forgot what that group was called. But no, there was some great stories. There were some great stories in there. But yeah, so yeah, I do like that we saw that side that actually Hank Pym can be a really nasty piece of work.
Yeah, and also shows that he's a really, really, for a scientist, he's a first class triple A star assassin. He literally single handedly took out the Avengers
Yes,
by himself.
yes, he did. He did.
And
He
keep in
put,
mind, this man is a pensioner. He's a
and,
pensioner.
and not just that, he could have actually gotten away with it if he didn't let
Yeah,
emotions get the better of him. He could have easily have actually just gotten away with it and just carried on with his intellect as a scientist, with the Pym particle, with the suits he could build, with his knowledge he has about probably the American military anyway. Yeah, he could have easily have carried on just picking off any members of Shields or potential Avengers he wanted. But yeah, just his emotions got the better of him.
yeah, it's that whole saying, isn't it? Pride comes before the fall. Because think about it, in theory, he could have killed Nick Fury at any time. He could have shrunk himself, gone inside his car, gone inside his ear or something, do whatever, explode his brain, do whatever. He could have done any of that. But
But that
he's
was the
like he
thing.
purposely wanted to break him, to say, look,
Yes,
everything that
that's
you're
exactly
planning
what
to
it
do,
wanted
I'm
to
going
do.
to actually destroy it, and then I'll come for you last.
It's actually a bit Frank Miller esque almost. Now, I think now you've said that, in the 80s, it's the most famous Daredevil story that was written in the 80s by Frank Miller. Frank Miller, who's a amazingly talented guy. Um, he's since said a few questionable things, um, which leads one to believe he might not like brown people. But we'll just leave that. We'll just leave that bit parked. Um, we'll just say that unfortunately 9/11 had quite an impact on him, and it led him to yeah, write some rather hateful stories about brown people. But yeah, but essentially he writes this amazing story about Daredevil where Kingpin finds out Daredevil's real identity as Matt Murdock. So instead of like Kingpin just like using that knowledge to kill Matt Murdock, he just destroys every single aspect of Matt Murdock's life. Just destroys it and just leaves him a broken man, and just it just utterly ends him. And there's this scene, I think, oh god, I think they're like on a pier, and Kingpin just beats him. He just beats him, and Kingpin wins that feud between those two. And Daredevil then has to like rebuild his life from that point in Hell's Kitchen. But it's like if you can just look beyond 2021 Frank Miller and appreciate it for 80s Frank Miller. Yeah, I honestly, it is a must read for any comic book fan, especially any comic book fan that's a Daredevil fan.
I think, even just going back by what you're saying about what his personal views are. I mean, it's just like a lot of times, like we all know, isn't it? A lot of people that we idolize their work and appreciate their talent, outside of that sphere, they're not really nice individuals. So at the end of the day, you have to separate the artist from the person and just say, yes, I like his work, but you don't really care too much about him as a person. And the great thing is, in reality, based on our trajectory in life, you probably never will come into contact with that person anyway. So we always have to just take in, you know, keep in account that there's plenty of people like that that have that mindset and that behavior. It's just that some are stupid enough to actually, publicize that. So we get to see it for ourselves and know, oh, okay, that's what they really think or whatever. So for the great work he's done, you just appreciate that and say, yeah, it was a great story about him. Okay, good for him and his life.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I'd 100% recommending it, and I'm glad you brought that up as well because now you think that I think about it, that's what Hank Pym was trying to do. He was very much trying to do what Kingpin done to Daredevil in those stories. Um, you know, I don't know if the Marvel writers for What If realized that at the time, but I mean, yeah, that's what was happening here. But I loved it
Yeah, I
when
mean, if
like
we look at it, he literally went after each possible recruit
yeah,
and took them out in a specific. Also, it seems as if he took them out in a specific order as well, because he would have already known about all these people. He knew enough to actually be at the Shield headquarters for when Thor was actually arriving to try and pick up the hammer, which means he probably knew where Thor was to begin with. So it's like he wanted to do these things in front of them so they know exactly, okay, this is what's happening to who you're actually, this is your protector, can't even protect themselves.
and maybe as well as an argument as well that because Natasha isn't superpowered, he could have knocked off Natasha at any point. But maybe he
Exactly.
knew
And he
that
saved her.
maybe he knew that Natasha was the one way that could lead him to the Incredible Hulk, who was in hiding at that point. So he used like he allowed Natasha to survive to lead him to the Incredible Hulk. So once he killed the Incredible Hulk, he then just knocked off Natasha afterwards because then after that there was no use for Natasha.
True.
So that's a
But it
possibility. I don't
was,
know if the writer's done that intentionally, but that fits in. That fits in.
yeah, but it was cold blooded, man. He was not messing about. He was not playing no games, give you a chance to, like, reach to your true potential. He just was taking you out literally in your infant stage.
But it does show how powerful the pin particle is as well.
And it just, what it also shows is, with the right amount of motivation and planning, no matter who you are, you can be defeated. Because Thor is essentially a god. And he literally just got taken out like it was nothing. Tony Stark is one of the most brilliant minds, with one of the most sophisticated set of technology. And again, he literally got taken out like it was nothing. Bruce Banner is literally virtually indestructible. He can't get killed, and then he got killed, and he got killed so easily as if it was nothing. Literally, the military has spent, they probably spent what? Hundreds of billions, not even millions, hundreds of billions. If you look at the time frame of when they tried to kill the Hulk and how many times they come up against him, the amount of damage what's done, to cities as well as to the military in general, and they weren't able to do anything to him. There's never been any lasting scars on Hulk from any of his,
His
wars
skin
with the
is
military, and Pym just come and took
impenetrable.
him out in literally in seconds.
Yep, by going through his butthole to his heart.
I don't know if it's through his butthole he went. I
That's
feel
my
it's when
that's my
that bullet
theory.
when
No,
that
because
bullet hit
bullets
him.
can't pierce Hulk's skin. Has to have been his butthole.
Yeah, but any small, if you remember, like just like our skin, we have where our pores in our skins in theory are little holes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he could even shrink himself small enough to go through one of his pores
He
in
could have
his
done.
chest.
But is that as funny as him going through the butthole?
No, but I just don't want to think of the idea of him just saying, "Yep, I'm going to go for vengeance for my daughter. Let me go up your butt."
I
Yeah.
think that's exactly what happens, and I think the internet will agree with me.
Yeah, okay, that's so true. Yeah, he's an alien referred to.
As a god. So maybe that's why the arrow did kill him.
Yeah, he's just an alien that's got good aging.
I think it's just agreeing my comment about Thor's butthole. But yeah.
Yeah, no to that theory. I don't want to think about that. Yeah.
But uh then we have a situation where you think Nick Fury is actually gonna fight Yellow Jacket. And at first I thought, oh my god, Nick Fury's actually having his Yoda moment. Remember like in Star Wars when Yoda fights Count Dooku and he's all
Yeah.
bouncing off of like walls and stuff. I actually thought this was going to be like Nick Fury's moment where you like find that Nick Fury's like this sick fighter. Actually,
Yeah, I
turned out
thought
to
it
be
was him
like,
as well too, because he was just like parrying all his shots like it was nothing, and I was just like, wow. See, I was right. He was shot, like
in the
shot
bottle.
at. No, it's not in the butthole, man. I don't know what side of the bed you woke up on today where you just got
No, I tell
Hulk,
you why they might.
Doctor
I
Pym
tell you
and
why they might
butthole
have
on your
done that
mind.
because before Endgame came out, there was a lot of people on the internet just asking the question. It was trending to defeat
Hulk
Thanos.
butthole.
Why don't they just send Ant-Man up Thanos' butthole?
So because they didn't relive that dream of getting, Ant-Man up Thanos' ass, they decided to say, you know what? What if? What if we do it in this one instead?
Yeah, my brother's right though. It was when Banner was shot, not when Hulk was shot.
But that's what I said to you when he shot him when he was literally, and you're
You
saying
did
Banner can't.
you didn't specify.
That's the only time he got shot.
Would have been better if it was.
But because you was just so, you're just so caught up on this whole butthole entrance
Listen, this
thing.
is what the Marvel Universe has been
Buttsgate.
demanding. They want to see for ages.
What, butthole?
No, they don't actually want to see the butthole, but they want a story where Ant-Man defeats somebody. by just basically expanding themselves inside of them. Does Thanos
By
have a
going up
butt?
the butthole.
I mean, I imagine Thanos does.
Yeah, but it
I
might not
mean,
even be on his butt. Based on him being an alien, his butt could be on his elbow or something.
do you think he just like regurgitated just comes out of his mouth?
He dookie up his through his elbow. You never know.
It
We
just
don't know.
seeps. It just seeps out of his eyes and his nose.
You
Anyway.
never know.
Anyway, this has gotten weird, and I apologise for that.
Yeah, it's definitely you, 100% you.
Yeah, the difference between me and you is I see where I've gone wrong, and I apologise for it. You just carry on down that road and just beat that drum until
You're talking about the snake eyes again, isn't it?
I'm talking about everything.
Snake eyes, still with you, buddy. But yes, going back to this. Yeah, I thought it was a well put together episode.
He's not with you, but then you realise it's Loki. Like, especially, I think it was a bit before I realised, but when like you saw the kind
the
of
shadow
duplicate,
clones. Yeah, like the multiple versions.
and they actually like have Loki and Nick Fury laugh at the same time.
Yeah, I think that was it there for me. When I thought I saw him laughing, I'm like, Nick Fury wouldn't be laughing like that.
Yeah, and
people you've never seen him laugh, to be fair. In any of the I haven't seen him laugh in any of the Marvel movie over the last 10 years. I can't remember a single episode where you saw Nick Fury laughed. Now that I think about it.
No, so another thing people pointed out on the good old interweb as well is when Nick Fury was having this chat with Hank Pym, he's been quite dismissive about everything because it's Loki, it's not Nick Fury talking. So when he's like, "Oh, you let my daughter die," and he's just like, "Yeah, whatever. She was an agent. They die." But he does.
Yeah, it was. No empathy, nothing whatsoever. It was just.
He does get serious though when he mentions Thor. His voice does change when Thor's mentioned.
Yeah,
he does get serious for that one moment when Thor is mentioned, which was a really nice touch.
Well, yeah, because I mean, we've all said it. No matter what, I think it doesn't matter what alternate reality or universe or what Earth they're on. Their relationship is always the same, even though he's Loki and he may be complicated and he's complex. He does love his family. He loves his brother. He just wants to, be Loki. Yeah.
So yeah, but then they take care of Hank Pym, and then what does Loki do in true Loki style?
Sorry. Had to get another drink.
Stay hydrated, people. It's important.
Yep. He decided to stay longer.
Yes, he did. That's one way of putting it.
Well, he did say that, didn't he? He didn't really say, "Yeah, I'm going to conquer you guys now." He's just saying, "Oh, I'm going to stay a little bit longer."
Yeah, so he eventually takes over the world, as the way Loki does. So, Nick Fury,
peacefully. Let's put that in there.
We're not 100% sure. There might have been a bit of resistance.
No, there wasn't. There wouldn't have been anyone. I mean, come on. If the military can't beat Hulk, how are they going to beat Asgardians with all kind of technology and all sorts?
There's always going to be those people who turn around and say, "Oh, Manny P, I don't care. Like, who's coming after me? They ain't see me in a fight."
Yeah, there is always that one, isn't it?
That was actually my impression of you. That's actually my impression of you, by the way.
You're saying I would have been saying that. Yep. Oh yeah, I don't care about Loki and all his friends there. Yeah. Let me get my medical, medicinal marijuana, which I don't smoke, but let me get some of that. Then I'll just go with that extra courage, and I'll take on all of them.
Yeah. But so what does Nick Fury do? He calls on Captain Marvel, and he goes to the ice block containing Captain America. So he's still got Avengers available. He's always got Avengers ticking
Yeah, but
away
the only
somewhere.
problem is, let's face it. I think I don't think I'm wrong, but I think Captain Marvel is probably like the least likable character in the Marvel franchise that's had a
What is
movie
with
so
this
far.
Captain Marvel hate? I don't quite understand it, I have to say.
I
I
think
quite
it's
like Captain Marvel.
you know what I think it is. I think it's just because it just looks so far fetched. Her story, and she just and it seems so arrogant as well. She ain't exactly worked on her own planet, but she's off. I'm going to go save galaxies. Like, it just sounds like your powers was
Oh,
too good for you to save your own planet, work on what's going on in your planet, but you're gonna go and do whatever else. So it's kind of like someone, you're at home. So rather than, you've got broken fridges, all sorts that needs repairing in your house, but rather than go and splash the money and repair the things at home first, you decided to go to another country and splash out on someone else's.
okay. No, I don't think that's what she's doing. I think a better um, analogy is your house is on fire, so you could like go and put the fire out in your house, or you could actually intercept that asteroid that's heading towards planet Earth and is going to destroy 99% of life on planet Earth. Which one do you do?
You do both.
No, you go for the asteroid first, now, don't you? Because you're not going to have
Mm,
a house to save.
yeah, but then at the same time, you could probably go and do the asteroid, and then by the time you came back, you may
Yeah,
save your house. But
that's not the point of my analogy. It's
the
like
point is, she's not
don't start
liked.
putting caveats into it just to prove
Well,
your misguided point.
caveats or not, she's not liked.
Not liked by you.
So
I like her.
it's not just me alone. Like
Who
you
else
said, you
doesn't
don't
like
know
her?
what. Well, the fact that you said you don't know what is with all this hate on the internet about her shows that there is a large percentage of fans out there that's not taken to her,
Is it a
and it's
large
Marvel.
percentage or is it just a very vocal minority?
Mm. See, when people like to downplay things, they'll say, "Oh no, it's only a minority." You know how many? It's only 50 million, and there's 70 million of us. Something like that. They'll say
Well, you got to
it's not.
remember as well, like 50 million people voted for Donald Trump. So, sometimes people's opinions on things can be skewed.
Sure.
But, I personally don't get it. I quite like the character. I thought her
I like
movie
the
could have been a bit better, but
better. Yeah.
the character, I don't transfer that onto the character itself. And she's a charitable person. There's bigger threats in the universe. For all we know, she could have been handing Galactus. She could have been like beating up Galactus.
Okay, so there's bigger threats in the universe, and yet still on her watch, while she's out protecting the universe, half of life in the entire universe got wiped out.
Because she didn't know.
No. Oh, why is that then? If she's out there protecting the universe, if she was on Earth like the rest of them, then maybe she could have done something else, couldn't she?
It's not her fault. She wasn't there. She didn't know.
Whose fault was it? Who
She
sent her?
is she
Was
meant
she banished?
is she meant
Hang
to
on,
know
was she
everything?
banished?
Is she meant to
No,
know
was she
everything?
banished from? Well,
You
there you
answer
go,
my
Manny P.
you
Because
answer my
because she had
you
that.
answer my question first.
I can answer your question with a question.
No, you can't. That's stupid. Answer my question.
Okay, repeat your question and I shall answer it.
I've forgotten what it was now.
See, you're so enraged. You're so enraged you forgot your question. But my point is, if she was actually keeping more contact with what's going on Earth, then she would have known about what was going on, the Avengers Initiative, all the threats that was going on from Loki.
She was many light years away.
Exactly. Who told her to do that?
Because there's bigger threats in the universe which we're going to learn about in the MCU as we go on. And to answer your ridiculous question, was she banished? No, she wasn't banished, but she left a, what do you call those things from the 90s which you contact people on? Pager.
Pager.
She left a pager with Nick Fury to say, oh, but if something deep does happen, let me know and I'll come back straight away. And she wasn't paged in Infinity War. Though in Endgame, she was paged and she done some pretty good work taking out that mothership. So she's awesome.
Jury's still out on that one, but yeah.
I do you know something? I think the jury have just said, Davie, and we're chucking you out of court.
Yeah.
It's not even
disturbing,
the
it's not even the beast.
It's not even the judge who said it. The judge has just gone home. The judge is like, time for this. I've got a murder case to preside over. I don't know why I'm presiding over these two geeks arguing about Captain Marvel.
Dr. Pym's out there just killing people. We need to know what we need to deal with that threat first. But no, I mean, to go back to it, I mean, it was nice how they left it at the end. You know, it basically meant you don't know what could happen, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think
in terms of you know, when they form a new Avengers, because it's not guaranteed they're going to win, because whereas in the first one, when the Avengers was being formed, was before Loki didn't invade Earth with an army. He came by himself to begin with, so they had time. By the time his army did arrive, they had already kind of started working together and they decided to form a team. Whereas now, when Nick Fury is going to be assembling a team, the Earth has already been invaded and already been taken over.
So I mean,
it's going to be a lot different now. You know, you're not going to have any places, especially with their technology. There's not really much places he could possibly go to try and train as a team where they probably wouldn't get found out. So it's hopeful. It's just a small hope, but as I suppose with anything, if you give any little bit of hope, you know, even if it's like a 10% chance of success, it's still a chance. So
I'm pretty confident Captain Marvel takes out Loki, by the way. She could have taken out Thanos quite easily in Endgame. But yeah, there's a cool little point I wanted to bring up as well, which people have made. Light bulb moment, Fury recruits Avengers from the multiverse. It's an interesting point. So he goes to different multiverses. And I would like to actually see something like that happen, where they can bring in a Captain Carter type character into our MCU timeline, because I would really like to see a Captain Carter like live action kind of thing at some point. The point I wanted to make though was the new Rockstars put out a really good video, and they pointed out that Hope Van Dyne dies in Odessa, Ukraine. So she dies as a SHIELD agent there. Odessa, Ukraine was the place where Black Widow tells Captain America that she encountered the Winter Soldier 5 years previous to when they before the events of Captain America 2. And she talks about how the Winter Soldier like shoots her engineer, like through the bullet goes through her to get to the engineer behind her, and that was in Odessa. So, interesting theory. Could have the Winter Soldier have killed Hope Van Dyne, and is that the reason she's dead in this universe?
Could be.
I mean, it sounds like a bit too much coincidence there for me, but I do like that theory that potentially actually was the Winter Soldier who killed. And it feels like
go on. Sorry, man. I think I was just going to say, I think that's the good thing about these things, they don't expand on a lot of the theories because
I
it's
think my
just
brother
open
wants.
for
I think my brother wants to start a yes
interpretation.
chant.
Yes, yes. Wrong, wrong podcast.
Um, but that was a good yes chant. But yeah, as you were saying, like they leave a lot open for your imagination, and they kind of like let you like tie the bits together. They're not insulting everyone's intelligence by saying, you've got to by explaining everything. They're leaving a few bits open for interpretation, which
Yeah,
I
100%.
which I really appreciate. Apparently, next week's episode I think is going to be the zombie episode,
Mm.
which I'm looking forward to. Um, I don't think they'll introduce Reed Richards through an animated series, but in the comics, Reed Richards is responsible for the virus that makes them all zombies. But we'll see. We'll see. Everything in this episode was previous canon in the MCU. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, have you watched the Spider-Man trailer?
Oh, yes, I did.
What did you think? Did you get excited? Did you cry?
Nah, no crying.
Why not? Are you not in touch with your masculine emotions?
I am, but that didn't. That didn't do it for me. I think I
Do you need a
think,
hug?
no, I'm good. But I think Matrix 4, that trailer will make me cry when I finally see it. Just
Okay.
the nostalgia of it. Also, to be fair, the Shang-Chi trailer that they keep bringing out and the Eternals trailer, I think those can make a man cry because they're just it's just going it just look gets you deep and deep. You just think, wow, it's going to be something epic, and I can't wait for the 3rd of September.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We're going to go and watch that together, I believe. But
Yeah,
going back to Spider-Man, as the Spider-Man trailer opens up a lot of stuff. I mean, it's confirmed. We know Doctor Octopus is going to be in it.
yep.
Alfred Molina reprising his role as Doc Ock from another franchise. It looks like Green Goblin's going to be in it because you do see the little pumpkin bomb, but as well you hear Willem Dafoe's voice in the background as well as he drops it from another franchise. People reckon
So,
they can make out the lizard um, in the trailer as well. I think it's been confirmed that Jamie Foxx is actually going to reprise his role as Electro.
Electro.
Yeah,
So
in
that
the
means
movie.
it's playing into.
Yes, my brother's just saying here, like when Doc Ock
Yeah, that's what I was
says,
just about to say. Like it's feeding into the all the whispers that there will be multiple Spider-Man.
yeah, it's looking that way, and
Oh, there would
um,
100% because there's no way this Spider-Man could beat all these possible villains by himself. No chance.
and do you know what this reminds me of to keep it current and to kind of cross things over? So last week, well, I didn't tune in live, but everybody was eagerly awaiting AEW Rampage because all the rumors were that CM Punk was going to be there. You
Yep.
didn't know for sure, but you were about 90% sure that he was going to be there because of all the rumors and all the hints that had been dropped. And it would have just been an absolute letdown if he hadn't turned up in that episode. And he
Yeah,
did
it would
turn
have
up, and it
been
was
it would
amazing. It was
have been
probably
bad. It would have been bad for business,
yeah, and
especially
it
in
was probably
this day and age now, with having only now just getting people, fans back in buildings.
yeah,
And, we've been through so much over the last year and a bit, year and a half or so, with current situations of lockdown, not able to go out and do anything. So the last thing you need is more doom and gloom when you got a little hope, even something as mild as just entertainment. But it's good for the psyche. You're thinking, oh, we're gonna have this is gonna happen, and then it's a letdown.
Yeah. So essentially, it's a similar thing with the. Oh, you're frozen. It's a similar thing essentially with Spider-Man. If we don't see Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield turn up, um, the fear is that this movie could be a letdown. I'm personally not going to expect them, just to keep my emotions and my expectations in check, but we'll see. Miles Morales, yeah, we could see a Miles Morales turn up. I would like to see a Spider-Ham turn up as well at some point. Oh my god, what was the name of the Indian Spider-Man? It was something like Prabhakar. What if he turns up? That'd be awesome. There's an Indian Spider-Man. But yeah, there was a part of the trailer which doesn't sit well with me. And when I say doesn't sit well, I like to think I'll watch the movie and it will all make sense. It's 100% Doctor Strange in the trailer, in the teaser. But oh, do you mean do you think it's somebody else pretending to be Doctor Strange? Well, this is the point I was going to make. Doctor Strange casting a spell to erase people's memories that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That feels very reckless by Doctor Strange, and I personally can't believe Doctor Strange will do something like that. So I hope we're not going to see this wildly arrogant side of Doctor Strange coming out, because he has a movie coming out, in his own movie coming out later on. So I don't know how I can transition from this really arrogant Doctor Strange I'm not going to like, and then watch one of his movies and try and like him in that movie. So again, I do get worried as well, because it's Sony writing this story for the most part. So I do hope that bit is kind of sorted out, because this just doesn't feel like the Doctor Strange I know. But Davie's back, and we'll get his opinion. Oh, you're back. Well done, sir.
Tell you what, I have to say this. I'm trying, because obviously we're on live. On live, so I can't use the language I need to use. Plus, my mama is here. But this Sky broadband thing is just ridiculous. Even with the new broadband router, everything, the minute someone rings the house phone, it just disconnects the internet. That is absolutely crazy.
You does sound like you've gone back to dial-up. But anyway, I was just talking about the trailer. And I was saying the trailer looks really good. And obviously, we don't want a situation where Garfield and Maguire don't turn up. Because even if it's the best movie ever, people will walk out of the cinema disappointed if they don't turn up. So I think
no.
I was just saying that
won't do a DC. They won't drop the ball. They'll deliver.
So I'm kind of walking in there, not expecting them to be in it. So I manage my expectations, and I'm not setting myself. So I'm not setting myself up for disappointment. Don't get me wrong. I was expecting CM Punk all week, and he delivered, and it was amazing.
Exactly. I'm going to do the same for this.
It's my CM Punk, which is also the Wakanda symbol as well.
It might be like that.
And it's also
Spider-Man it up. In the
God, so CM Punk, Wakanda Forever, X-Men, whatever you're doing.
I'm Spider-Man, webbing it.
Remember, I know.
You do the web, innit? Like,
yeah. So in the comics, he's meant to have a little contraption here in his palm,
Yeah,
which
that he
shoots out the
presses.
weapon. But yeah, then Tobey Maguire one, they've done it so that he's got like a little sack under his skin that shoots out the web.
Yeah, through his hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which I thought was actually thought was a decent kind of adjustment to the Spider-Man character. But I was just saying, the one bit that didn't quite sit well with me was Doctor Strange readily says to Peter Parker, "Oh, you want me to cast a spell that erases everybody's memories? Yeah, I'll do that. No problem." I was just saying, I don't think that bit particularly sits well with me.
Yeah, it seems a bit immature for someone who's supposed to have greater wisdom in terms of what certain things can lead to when you make certain reaction or certain actions, the consequences of certain actions. So yeah, thought that was crazy. It's like he's lost the plot, like a child like a child that's just unaware of the dangers of what their actions can do. So yeah.
Yeah, especially as
But
Wong warns him as well, don't do the spell.
well, it's going to be interesting. So looking forward to seeing that. But it's just one. We have to just keep a level
It
head and
makes me
just approach them one film at a time, starting with the 3rd of September.
Exactly. It makes me wonder, like, why isn't Wong the Sorcerer Supreme? He seems to be far more intelligent than Doctor Strange when it comes to these things.
Yes, interesting. Or maybe he'll make such a grave error that he'll learn from it and he won't make these mistakes again.
Yeah. Somehow that does open up the multiverse. So you've frozen again. So he's still frozen, or he's just in loads of pain. I'm not sure. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to finish off now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it all. Yeah, looking forward to zombie. Hopefully, it's a zombie What If next week. But yeah, just more great output from Marvel. What can I say? I'm going to call it a day now, and I'll see all of you next week. Bye.